But if the country was a plane, Cyril Ramaphosa would be the pilot. Captain Ramaphosa will address his passengers tonight.
Of course, but there's the question, do we still trust him? Reporter Michael Marillier is tracking this story for us. And Michael, good to have you. Good morning. I mean, we're seeing the State of the Nation address coming up, and there's so many analysis that we're expecting today. But, of course, he's expected to give hope. But let's be honest, it's been quite a bumpy ride.
Well, whenever I've been on a plane trip and I've heard the captain come on the loudspeaker and say, "This is your captain speaking," I've gotten really nervous, guys. So I think it's a good analogy for the 2021 State of the Nation address. A lot of people will be hoping for some inspiration, but also probably nervous given the situation that we are in when it comes to COVID-19. I want to take you through some of the key numbers when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's bring that up. And if we continue with our plane ride metaphor, in July we hit 13,900 cases in a single day. In fact, that was on the 24th of July. We thought that we had gotten through the worst conditions at that stage. And in fact, it did get a little bit better. In the middle of September, we reached a low of just 725 cases in a single day. We thought that we had dealt with all the turbulence. I'm afraid that we were wrong. On the 8th of January this year, nearly 22,000 daily cases in a single day. Thankfully, guys, we are seeing some clearer skies at the moment. The latest number at the beginning of this week, 2,435 cases in a single day. So the conditions have stabilized a little bit. It isn't quite as turbulent as it once was, but certainly government very concerned about maintaining those numbers and getting them down as quickly as possible. And part of that solution to this problem is, of course, the vaccine. But South Africa has had its issues with that as well. Let's compare it with some of the other countries around the world. If you take a look at the UAE, 40% of the population just about has had at least one dose of the vaccine. Israel a little bit further down, 39% of that population. The UK rolling out millions of vaccine doses, 17% of the population. Bahrain just over 10%. The United States, after a slow start, it's gaining altitude pretty quickly. We're talking about 9% of the population. Iceland, 4% of the population there has had at least one dose of the vaccine. And if you look at some of the other developing nations, for example, Argentina, just under 1%, Mexico sitting at roughly 0.5%. I'm emphasizing this because South Africa, as you can see, has yet to leave the runway. Our plane is still grounded when it comes to vaccines, and tonight the country will want answers from the captain.
Not only grounded because of vaccine, because we can't sort out SAA's woes. But that's another day. Okay, let's stay with President Cyril Ramaphosa as a pilot.
Yeah.
Is he losing altitude? Is he flying high?
Well, we've taken a look at his approval ratings. The polling firm Ipsos actually has been looking at President Ramaphosa's approval ratings since he became the president and also while he was the deputy president. So let's take a look at that, and we'll bring out the famous red arrows, as I call them. We'll go back to May 2018, guys, and his approval rating really high for a South African president, 70% in fact. As you can see, took a bit of a dip a few months later, 62%. Around about the time of the 2019 elections, it fell to 58%, so that's his lowest mark so far. But he's been climbing pretty much ever since. November 2019, he was above 60%. August 2020, so that was during the pandemic itself. Again, he climbed to 70%. So many South Africans giving the president the thumbs up in terms of the way he handled the pandemic up until then. Interesting, though, he has lost a few percentage points over the last few months. In December, he fell to 66%. There are a lot of questions, of course, about how South Africans will respond to the vaccine rollout. So we'll have to see how his rating is affected by the vaccine rollout. But just to put things in perspective, as we wrap it up, I just want to take a look at some other approval ratings. As we mentioned, December 2020, President Ramaphosa at 66%. In November 2017, of course, you'll remember, he was still the deputy president, South Africans gave him just 53% in terms of his performance as the deputy president. Jacob Zuma, of course, was the president at that time. His approval rating was just 24%. So we are a long way away from the Zuma years, but at the same time, South Africans want answers. We are in the middle of a crisis.
Yes, I think South Africans want to forget that he worked so closely with Jacob Zuma, right? Thank you for that, Michael.